Hey y'all, and welcome to this tutorial. This is going to be hopefully a series of videos on how to get up and running with the Arma 3 mission editor and get you started making missions for the Disposable Heroes community. Now, at least for a while, we won't be covering any advanced features like scripting, custom assets, etc., as YouTube is already flooded with those kinds of tutorials, and you can usually find exactly what you're looking for by typing it into the search bar and finding a bunch of videos on how to do it. These tutorials are just going to cover some basics and maybe some intermediary skills so you can get to making missions. This is also going to be centered around the Disposable Heroes community as it stands in early 2025, though everything we cover should be applicable to other groups if you're in other communities. And with that, let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is pick your mod pack. Now, to be perfectly clear, it is entirely acceptable to go mod free and build a purely vanilla mission for the group. However, in 2025, there's been so many game-changing and quality-of-life mods that you may want to at least look at them. We're going to make this video with the assumption that we are going modded, and even if you want a largely vanilla experience, I still recommend watching this part because there's a few things in here that won't necessarily change the game, but will make your life as the mission maker just a little easier. So with that, let's go to the Mods tab. And if you think you're going to make multiple missions, I highly recommend getting together a template list of mods you'll use most, if not all of the time. DH has a base mods list that you can get and modify. Just ask any of our regular mission makers to get the most up-to-date one. I've got my variant here saved as my DH base mods preset, which you can see in the upper right. And if you click on that, you'll see the controls for saving your own presets and the list of previously saved ones that you can recall just by clicking on them. In this base mod pack, you'll notice it's mostly quality of life mods. We have all the mods we need to get Ace working. We got lambs, because we like the enemies to be a little bit harder, and I think I even have immersion SIGs in here just because we have some members that have such a jonesing for nicotine sometimes that it extends even into their video game life. Over time, you'll figure out which ones you like and want to keep and which ones you may want to get rid of in certain circumstances. For example, when I'm making horror ops, I tend to get rid of lambs because I found the AI modifications in lambs versus the zombie mod sets. They tend to conflict and add a lot of problems. I do want to call attention to two specific ones, this Eden 2.0 and Threeden Enhanced. Even if you want to go all vanilla with your player experience, I highly recommend at least loading these two mods, as they'll make your mission making a lot easier, and we'll see some of that when we get to actually making the mission. All right, so next you need to know what kind of mission you want to make. For example, if you want to make a modern-day Navy SEALs mission taking on some Russian bad guys, you'll probably want to start loading up, either RHS or CUP to get your gear, maybe a nice map with some cool water features for the players to swim through on their way to the objective, maybe some Op4 mods to get you the right flavor of bad guys with different factions and whatnot. Or if you're going for kind of a horror op, you might want to start finding your cool zombie and mutant mods and things like that. There's a lot of choices, and to spend any amount of time on YouTube researching mission making and different kinds of mods, and you're going to find that there's kind of an infinite number of ways to take this, and you'll probably find that one mod that'll sort of inspire you. So for the example I'm using for these tutorials, I've opted to go with a near future conflict of US forces versus insurgents and maybe some Russian contractors down the road. So I've taken the base mod set and I've made this, and I've added the Arma Aegis and Atlas sets, as well as some other 2035 add-on mods to give me lots of options to choose from while we make the mission. So for example, if I come down here, you'll see I've added the elite forces, the Marines, the insurgency, so on and so forth. I've also added the lithium map because it's one of my favorite maps, honestly, and I know that that is where I would kind of like to make this mission for these tutorials. If you're not sure what kind of map you want, feel free to just load up several, and then after you've looked through them and picked the ones you want for your mission campaign, just go ahead and quit Arma and then unload the ones you end up not wanting. Otherwise, you're going to kind of bog down the mod list, and because maps tend to be pretty big, you don't want your players having to download maps that they're not going to use, at least until you need them later. As you're adding mods, you're going to want to pay attention for a few things. First is the dependencies. So if you try to load something, you might get this pop-up. that says load dependencies, and it lists some stuff that it needs. Pretty much every time you should just go ahead and load them to avoid any problems. I'm going to hit cancel here just because I don't actually want Iwo Jima. I'm just using that as an example. The other thing you're going to want to check is a little icon of the box with an arrow. So if I come back up to the top here, let's go to Aegis, and it's this thing here. This will open up the mods page in your browser so you can see what it is, get some screenshots, get some information about it. This is especially helpful when you have a lot of mods and you're trying to remember what some of them are. And it will also tell you what dependencies it might have. So you'll see, required item CBA A3. This is helpful because Arma doesn't always catch the missing dependencies. And so if you start to get errors and problems when you try to launch the game, this would be why. And then also, we don't have any right now, but if you ever see a little red box kind of to the left of the name here, that means that you're missing a dependency. And if you click into it and then you hit this little dependencies view thing, it'll open up and tell you, hey, what are you missing? So I'm going to give this example here. So I've got my tutorial thing with everything loaded, and I'm going to hit play with mods, and then hopefully my computer decides to play nicely with me. And there we go. So we can see we've got a problem. Add-on Aegis something 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 requires air F LXW, and then I get another error, and then I think this is going to crash here in a moment. Yep, there's the crash. So I kind of did this on purpose. So we can either, let me back up. This is where that kind of browser page is going to come in handy. So let's go back to the browser, that little box with the arrow on it. Let's go back to this page for Arma 3 Aegis. And we can see that, this is going to require some of the creator DLCs, Apex and Western Sahara. If I go to Atlas, because again, I kind of knew this was going to happen. This requires Western Sahara, so on and so forth. So we have a couple options. You can either go into DLC and you can load up the DLCs that it needs, or we can look for the free compats. We're going to go with option 2, so that everyone that is in our game doesn't have to go out and buy DLCs that they don't own already just to play with us. They should feel free to, but they don't have to. So I'm going to go to DH tutorial 2. And you'll see I've already fixed this. If you look for the name of any of the DLCs or add-ons that these mods need, typically not right at the top, you'll see something like compatibility data for non-owners. So I just know, because I was testing this before I made the video, that these are the ones I need to make this work. And so with that, we should be good to launch. Alrighty, y'all, in the interest of time and keeping these videos kind of short and not hopefully getting too long, I'm going to go ahead and cut here. But in the next video, we're going to go ahead and start getting into the editor and looking through our mission settings and start to figure out what it is we would like to do. And so with that, I'm Annuncia, and I'll see you in the next one.